Welcome to the United States Capitol. 2022 marks the 200th birthday of Frederick Law Olmsted, a renowned landscape architect who was commissioned by Congress in 1873 to design the Capitol grounds. My name is Maureen O'Connor, and I'm an education specialist at the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center. And today we're going to be talking about some of the amazing trees that you can see around the Capitol grounds. I'm joined this morning by two of our amazing staff members from the Capitol grounds and Arboretum. Thank you both so much for joining us. Would you please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do here at the Capitol?
Sure. My name is Matt Rawson. I'm an arborist here on Capitol Grounds and Arboretum, and I have the privilege of taking care of the trees out here on Capitol Grounds.
And my name is Melissa Westbrook. I'm the urban forester with the U.S. Capitol Grounds and Arboretum.
Like I said, thank you both so much for joining us. Could you start off by telling us a little bit about where we are located right now on the Capitol grounds?
Yeah, sure. So we're in what we call the Senate Egg, also known as the Senate Oval. It's on the north side of the east front of the U.S. Capitol building, and we are located just on the periphery of that oval.
Wonderful. And when we're thinking about the way the grounds looks today, when our visitors are walking along these paths, can you tell us a little bit about what Frederick Law Olmsted's vision was for the Capitol, and also in relation to the way that we see the trees around the Capitol grounds?
Yeah, sure. So Olmsted had a very clear vision for his design of the U.S. Capitol grounds, which was really about accentuating the Capitol building itself. He felt very strongly that the building should be the central focus of the landscape, and that for anyone who is visiting the Capitol, that they should have an opportunity to see the dome in all of its glory. And so all the vegetation, the trees, the shrubs, the ground covers that you see in the landscape were all meant to really accentuate the building itself. You'll notice that trees are predominantly planted on the periphery of large lawn expanses, as well as on the perimeter of the entire parcel here. And it was all about framing views to the dome. So the pathways that we walk along, although they're curved, they're meant to give a sense of perspective as you're walking along. An opening might occur in the tree canopy, which gives you the ideal shot to the Capitol dome.
Absolutely. And with some of these trees, too, that we're seeing around the grounds, some of them are original to Olmsted's design, right? Like they're pretty old trees that we have around the grounds.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have about 35 original Olmsted trees. So as Maureen said, Olmsted started his design in 1874, and it took him 20 years to complete. So at some point in that 20-year period, these 35 trees were planted and remain in the landscape today.
And we have an example of one right behind us. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is an American beech that dated to about that 1894 time period. So it's been here a very long time. You can tell it's been pruned a little bit throughout the 130-year period it's been here, but it's still standing and it's in fairly good shape for visitors to enjoy when they come to visit the Capitol.
So Matt, could you tell us a little bit about the sort of day-to-day maintenance and the challenges of taking care of these trees from like the 1870s? I'm sure that you have to consider your care differently because they're such mature trees.
Yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of retrenchment with all of these veteran trees, we might call them. And that's kind of just to ensure the safety, of the people out here, and then also to kind of make sure that the trees have an extended life to them. So it encompasses all of the work that we really do, and whether that's just a walk-by inspection where we're checking out for any other defects that have kind of grown a little bit to be more of a concern, whether it's a cavity, which you can see inside of this tree behind us. We may see a few hangers that might need to get pulled out of it, or just any kind of dead wood that kind of just comes to be as it is. And we're monitoring always the different like cracks and things that we may see in that, or there'll be bulges or different sorts of misshapen pieces. And we always want to monitor and check those things because we have so many activities and people just out and about. So yeah, every day we're always checking out these heritage trees.
Yeah, and they're so beautiful. They're kind of resilient, right? It's amazing that these trees are still here for us to enjoy today.
Absolutely, yeah. They're a testament to what a tree can do for sure.
So some of the trees, like you said, are original to Olmsted's design, but obviously things have been added over time, right? Can you share a little bit about how we can see changes to the landscape since Olmsted's original conception?
Yeah, sure. So at the time that Olmsted designed the grounds, he would have used very few ornamental flowering tree species, for example. So things like the cherry trees on the west front. Visitors love them, but they would not have been original to Olmsted's design. He would have had about 5% ornamental species in the landscape. Today, there's about 30. So if you're seeing a lot of flowering trees in the landscape, those were probably planted sometime after Olmsted and closer to the 1980s. In addition, we've had to really think about changing some species that Olmsted would have used. So today we know that there are certain species that are invasive to the Mid-Atlantic region. And of course we don't want to be planting invasive species, so we have to think about trees that would appropriately mimic the design intent Olmsted had. So what is the texture or shape of the tree that we can mimic maybe with a native tree species to achieve that same design intent?
And as you're considering those different types of trees or vegetation, what do you consult in order to know where to plant things or what to choose? Do you have like designs or resources?
That's a great question. So it's a very complicated answer. So we have what are called cultural landscape reports that really are historic research documents, essentially looking at what was Olmsted's original design in 1874 and what was actually built. Because as we know, he was here for 20 years and he didn't exactly build the landscape the way that he had planned it originally. So there's a number of documents that have been compiled over the years, starting with an inventory by Olmsted Jr. in 1904, where they came in and documented what was remaining of their father's original design, as well as some annual reports from the architect of the Capitol that really document what was existing in the landscape. And all of that research gets bundled up into this cultural landscape report, where we have a plan of exactly which tree got planted where, and that's how we make our decisions about how to restore them.
Well, there's plenty of beautiful trees to explore around the grounds, so how about we go check out some other ones down the hill?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
So we've made our way down the hill to the west front of the Capitol, and we're also joined by another one of our experts from the Capitol grounds and Arboretum team. Do you mind introducing yourself and telling us what you do?
Hi, I'm Joe Moda, an arborist here. I climb and prune trees and assess them for risk and make sure I can mitigate anything that's wrong to keep the public safe.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know you and Matt are all geared up for a demo in just a moment. Melissa, I wanted to ask you if you can share what trees we're standing near down at the bottom.
Sure. So these are two more original Olmsted trees. The one directly behind me is a willow oak tree, and the one a little bit further to my left is a pecan tree.
Wonderful, yes. And so Matt and Joe, you guys are going to show us here some of the preservation work you do. Before we do that, there's some other kind of ways that you guys help protect the trees down here. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a bunch of preventative healthcare, actually. So if you look at the ground, we can notice that we have a nice mulch layer put down there. And that's to help mitigate the compaction issues that we do face when we have all these concerts and events happening out here. In concert with that, we actually have vertical mulching, which kind of gives us an opportunity to put new things back into the soil to kind of create a more balanced soil so that the tree gets more nutrients up in there. So it's just helps to deal with these veteran trees in their aging process as to kind of keep them as healthy as possible. Another bit of things that we'll also be doing that you can notice in these trees too, the pecan as well, is going to be just the retrenchment process that we do with those veteran trees, where we're kind of taking the canopy down a little bit to encourage growth in the lower parts of the canopy. And also at the same time, we have some lightning protection in there as well, because it's just a bigger tree, and a bunch of cabling that also supports some of the unions that we kind of think are a little more questionable, that we've kind of already taken pieces out of it to decrease the weight and also decrease the risk that's there involved too, just to keep things as smooth as they can be for when we do have all those visitors for the concerts and events.
So a lot of different types of preservation work that you guys are constantly thinking about. Can you tell me the type of work that you're going to show us here in just a moment, what you're going to be doing in your demonstration?
So what we're going to be demonstrating here would be just our ascent methods in order to get to actually doing the work that we do, whether it's going to be the cabling that we're doing or any of the inspections that we're doing just to preserve the tree itself. So we'll give you guys a demo in just a second.
Great, we're excited to see it. And viewers, just a reminder that these folks are very experienced, have been doing this for a long time, so please don't try this at home, but we're excited to see your demonstration.
Cool, thanks. So we talked a little bit about the work that we do, but most people are curious as to how we actually get into the tree to do the work that we're gonna do. So Joe's gonna go ahead and enter the tree on the single rope system. And once he gets up in there, he'll be executing whichever prescribed work it would be to either prune out any dead wood that we see in there, or install one of the cables that we might have to do for support, or maybe even some lightning protection. I'm also going to follow him up once he's up in there, and then we'll do a little bit of work to get around the tree and show you just how things get done. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my foot ascender right now. And once I can get my knee ascender back down and wrapped around my foot, I'll hook that in as well. And then I'll be able to begin my ascent up into the canopy to where we can then address whatever prescribed work it is that we'll be taking care of in this particular tree, which could be anything from a clearance pruning to elevate these trees and the limbs up, or it could be a crown cleaning to help mitigate some risk and keep things clear for all of our event attendees and just the general public. So once we kind of get ourselves up in there, this also lends us a better view of not only what we've seen on the ground, but obviously aloft. We can then kind of get a better way of assessing if this tree has any more issues or maybe some sort of infection, whether it could be a bug or a fungal disease that's been actually affecting it, because all trees have a certain level of fungus or bacteria present. It's whether or not you find something that's actually creating an issue. Here on Capitol grounds, we're always looking to assess those issues as well. So right now I'm just gonna walk out on this limb, get a better idea of what we have available. Joe's also doing the same thing. And we're just kind of checking to see if there's any sort of defect on this limb that could cause us any kind of concern. And once we get out, we check things out a little bit. Make sure there isn't anything severe. Just work our way back in. Right back to the center. Good to go? All right, we're good over here. Joe's gonna come down. And I'm gonna come down after him. And that's how we do things out here, to take care of the health and preservation of Capitol grounds and arboretum trees.
Well, thank you, Melissa, Matt, and Joe, for your time and your expertise and for your demonstration today. We really appreciate you sharing with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you to our viewers at home. Be sure to check out our other videos highlighting Olmsted's work throughout the Capitol grounds. And thank you for joining us for this spotlight on the Capitol grounds.